Good evening, and welcome to the Crypto Overnighter. I'm Nicodemus, and I will be your host as we take a look at the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. And remember, none of this is financial advice. And it's 10 p.m. on a Friday, May 12th, 2023. And welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter, where we have no sponsors, no agenda, and no BS. Metal blockchain and the Federal Reserve's upcoming instant payment service FedNow are set to be integrated, according to a recent announcement from the Metal blockchain team. The integration will allow Metal users to instantly convert funds to stablecoins and back again, using FedNow's send-receive function. FedNow is an instant payment system developed by the U.S. Federal Reserve, which allows for round-the-clock, near-instant payments between banks. Currently, U.S. residents can only make instant payments domestically through third-party apps or crypto wallets. The Federal Reserve has stated that this new service will launch in July. Metal Blockchain is a crypto network that offers compliance-friendly options for decentralized finance developers. The network features a subnet called X-Chain, allowing developers to enact rules for transferring assets. Metal developers have claimed that the network is, quote, built on the foundation of BSA compliance, which implies that it has built-in identity verification and anti-money laundering features. Metal's integration with FedNow could enable the formation of interconnected bank chains, creating a more secure blockchain ecosystem that does not rely on oracles. This arrangement allows banks to communicate with each other to process payments and to handle settlements while staying connected to the FedNow system. The integration will also enable banks to prepare for an eventual central bank digital currency and for, quote, bank-issued stablecoins that can interact with a basket of stablecoin currencies. The Federal Reserve has denied that FedNow is related to a CBDC. However, there has been criticism of FedNow by U.S. politicians who have alleged that this is a first step towards a blockchain-based CBDC that will infringe on privacy. When asked his opinion of the controversy, Metallica's co-founder and CEO Marshall Hayner dismissed these criticisms of CBDCs. He said that he believes the controversy is unfounded and that the same rigor that is applied to the banking system will be applied to CBDCs. Yeah, right. Like the government has ever given up this kind of power once they've taken it. Once they have access to our finances, they're never going to let it go. They'll use it to control us, manipulate us, and to silence us. So the government wants to give us all central bank digital currencies. That sounds great. They'll be able to track our every purchase, our every transaction, every penny we spend. And they'll be able to shut us down if we don't do what they want, but don't worry, they're not going to use that power for evil. They're just going to use it to keep us safe. Really. So if you're thinking about getting a central bank digital currency, think again. It's not really worth the risk. Your privacy is worth more than that because while you may be fine with the people in charge today, eventually your political opposition will be in charge. Do you want them to have that level of control? Just something to consider. So on Wednesday, May 10th, the Texas House of Representatives voted overwhelmingly in favor of an amendment to the state's Bill of Rights. This amendment would add the right to own, hold, and use digital currencies. This bill, HJR 146, was introduced by State Representative Giovanni Caprioli, and it was passed by a vote of 139-2. The bill states that the right of the people to own, hold, and use a mutually agreed upon medium of exchange, including cash, coin, bullion, digital currency, or scrip, when trading and contracting for goods and services shall not be infringed. The bill now moves to the Texas Senate for consideration. So here's what's exciting about this. If it is passed by the Senate and then signed into law by Governor Greg Abbott, that would make Texas the first state in the U.S. to explicitly recognize the right to own digital currencies in its Bill of Rights. The passage of HJR 146 is a significant victory for the cryptocurrency community and a sign of mainstream lawmakers and their growing acceptance of digital currencies. It's also likely to positively impact the cryptocurrency markets, as it will provide greater legal certainty for investors and businesses that use digital currencies. In the wake of the passage of HJR 146, some analysts predict that the crypto markets could see a surge in activity. Quote, There's a major step forward for the crypto industry. It shows that lawmakers are starting to take digital currencies seriously and that they're willing to protect the rights of investors. Another analyst said that the passage of this bill could lead to increased adoption of digital currencies by businesses. Quote, "This bill gives businesses the legal certainty that they need to start accepting digital currencies. I expect to see more and more businesses start accepting cryptocurrencies in the coming months." The passage of HJR 146 is a positive development for the cryptocurrency industry. It will likely impact the markets positively. It's a sign that lawmakers are starting to take digital currencies seriously and they're willing to protect investors' rights. Thank you so much for listening in tonight. If you're enjoying tonight's show, then please like, follow, and subscribe to the Crypto Overnighter. It really helps get new attention for the show, so thank you. And now for our cover story for tonight. In a recent development, the United States House of Representatives Financial Services Committee Chair Patrick McHenry, along with 6 subcommittee chairs, have expressed their concerns to SEC Secretary Vanessa Countryman regarding the agency's proposed advisory clients custody rule. This proposed rule is called the Registered Investment Advisor Rule, and it aims to toughen the requirements for qualified custodians of client assets. Now, McHenry and his colleagues have alleged that the SEC is overstepping its jurisdiction with the proposed rule, that they're extending beyond the agency's authority. They claim that it would apply to assets such as art, cash, commodities, and non-traditional assets, which would impede the jurisdiction of other regulators and lead to complications for digital asset market participants. This letter suggests that the proposed rule would significantly impact digital asset market participants. Entrepreneurs and companies within the ecosystem already need help finding banks willing to custody their assets. This proposed rule restriction of qualified custodians to federally chartered entities would create further issues for state-chartered banks and trusts that often provide banking services to the digital asset market. The proposed rule has been met with criticism from the Blockchain Association and venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, with Coinbase's chief legal officer Paul Grewal requesting changes to the proposal in a letter to the SEC. In an amicus brief filed to the U.S. Court of Appeals on May 9th, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce criticized the SEC for its inconsistent enforcement-based approach to regulating the cryptocurrency industry in the country, calling it regulatory chaos. The Chamber of Commerce supported Coinbase's complaint against the SEC, which seeks to force the regulator to provide more explicit regulatory guidelines for crypto firms. The complaint was filed after the crypto exchange received a Wells notice from the SEC in March concerning the exchange's potential violation of U.S. securities law. The Chamber of Commerce pressed the SEC to respond promptly to Coinbase's complaint. The Chamber of Commerce also called out the SEC for failing to provide a clear answer to the question of which digital assets would be deemed securities under federal law, which would have immense implications for every person involved in the $1 trillion digital asset economy. If the SEC does not provide more precise regulatory guidelines for crypto firms soon, it could further harm the industry, which is already facing difficulties finding banks willing to custody their assets. However, this could also create investment opportunities for the industry as more people seek alternative investment options, including crypto. Republican lawmakers in the House of Representatives are threatening a hearing if the SEC doesn't comply with their requests for information on its interactions with crypto platforms seeking registration as exchanges. The lawmakers, led by Representative Patrick McHenry, sent a letter to SEC Chair Gary Gensler this week complaining that an earlier request had been rebuffed. They asked for a list of companies that have met with the SEC's officials to discuss registration, as well as other information about the agency's crypto oversight. The lawmakers also criticized the SEC for trying to hold the crypto industry to existing securities regulations. They argue that these regulations are outdated, that they don't apply to the unique nature of crypto assets. The SEC has been under pressure from Congress to regulate the crypto industry for some time. In 2021, the House passed a bill that would have created a new regulatory framework for crypto, but the bill stalled in the Senate. Now, we don't yet know whether the SEC will actually comply with the lawmakers' latest request. However, the pressure from Congress is likely to continue, and that could lead to more regulation of the crypto industry in the future. A watchdog group is suing the SEC for records related to the former SEC officials' communications with their former and future employers. This group, Empower Oversight's Whistleblowers and Research, or Empower, claims that the officials made a potential conflict of interest regarding cryptocurrencies. Now, this suit specifically mentions former SEC Chair Jay Clayton, former Enforcement Division Director Mark Berger, and former Director of Corporate Finance William Hinman. Now, according to the suit, the requested records will shine a light on whether the former SEC officials had conflicts of interest when declaring whether specific cryptocurrencies constitute securities and thus are subject to SEC regulation. Hinman was a partner at the law firm Simpson Thacher Bartlett LLC before joining the SEC in 2017. He returned to the firm after leaving the SEC in October of 2020. Berger became a partner at Simpson Thacher after leaving the SEC in 2021, and Clayton joined the cryptocurrency hedge fund One River Asset Management in 2021. Empower says these events raise serious questions about the potential conflict of interests at the root of the government's regulation of the emerging cryptocurrency market. So here's the deal about all that. Simpson Thacher was a member of the advocacy organization Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. This group tried to drive the use of Enterprise Ethereum. Now, Empower stated that Hinman reportedly received millions of dollars from the law firm during his tenure at the SEC. This lawsuit is the latest in a series of legal actions dating back to Empower's original FOIA request for 8 categories of records filed in August of 2021. Empower filed a complaint in December of that year after waiting for a response from the SEC for that request. The SEC gave them no records responses to 4 of the 8 categories, but then later admitted that those responses were erroneous and it found 1,000 pages of records from searched emails. So of course they said, keep looking. And after attempts to make the SEC widen its document search, Empower filed a new FOIA request in December of 2022. That current suit is an attempt to receive a response to the request. The outcome of the lawsuit could significantly impact the crypto regulations in the United States. If the court finds that the SEC did not comply with the FOIA, it could order the agency to release the records. This could shed light on potential conflicts of interest at the SEC and could lead to changes in the way the agency regulates crypto. Now, the important question is, what does all this mean for the markets? This increased regulatory scrutiny could harm the markets in the short term. Investors may become cautious about investing in crypto assets if they're unsure about the regulatory landscape. However, regulation could be a positive for the crypto markets in the long term. It could help to legitimize the industry and make it more attractive to institutional investors. So it's too early to say what the ultimate impact of the regulation on the markets will be. However, it's clear the SEC is taking a more active role in overseeing the industry, and this is something that investors will need to keep an eye on. In a Bloomberg television interview on May 11th, JP Morgan Chase Chair and CEO Jamie Dimon says he believes it's going to get worse for banks. That is, unless the Federal Reserve takes proactive measures beyond simply creating more regulations. Dimon said that the Federal Reserve's stress tests are not practical. He said companies that focus solely on those tests could be overlooking issues. He also questioned the effectiveness of the Federal Reserve, saying that, quote, not one Fed governor forecasted the banking crisis. Dimon's comments come after 3 major U.S. banks collapsed in the first few months of the year: Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, and First Republic Bank. Dimon said that these collapses were the result of a, quote, supervision problem, with the bank CEOs and board members comprising the people to blame. Dimon is not the first JP Morgan executive to recently express banking regulations issues. Bob Michel is the Chief Investment Officer of JP Morgan Asset Management, and he was on Bloomberg on April 27th when he said that First Republic Bank's liquidity issues, quote, should never have happened, as the banking is the most regulated, capitalized industry on the planet. If and how the Fed will respond to these warnings remains to be seen. However, it's clear the banking industry is facing some serious challenges, and the Federal Reserve will need to take steps to address them. And finally tonight, A former FTX executive has provided evidence that could help a class action lawsuit against celebrities who promoted the now bankrupt exchange. Daniel Friedberg, who was the chief regulatory officer at FTX and the chief compliance officer of FTX US, said in sworn testimony that FTX US's vice president of business development was based in Miami and was in charge of brand ambassadors for FTX, including some of those celebrities who are named in the suit. Friedberg said that he operated from an FTX office in Miami early in 2021. This contradicts the claims made by some of the defendants in the lawsuit, who said that FTX did not plan to move to Miami until late September of 2022, when they entered the alleged promotional agreements. The class action lawyers are using this new evidence to amend their lawsuit to address the defendants' jurisdictional claims. The court will decide if the evidence is sufficient. The lawsuit was one of the first filed in mid-November, shortly after the collapse of FTX. Other alleged celebrity promoters include Tom Brady and Kevin O'Leary. Now, Friedberg was also named as a defendant in an amended complaint on December 16. The former compliance head has reportedly lent a hand to other legal proceedings against the exchange he used to work for. Investigations with the New York District Attorney, the Justice Department, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations, as well as the SEC, purportedly got details about FTX from Friedberg a few weeks after the exchange collapsed. The future of the crypto markets is uncertain, but this lawsuit could significantly impact the industry. If the plaintiffs are successful, it could set a precedent for future lawsuits against celebrities who promote crypto. It could also discourage other celebrities from promoting crypto exchanges in the future. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. If you enjoyed tonight's show, then please like, follow, subscribe, leave a rating or a review. And in the meantime, we'll see you tomorrow night.